we're gonna be turning this space into this. There are 3 reasons why we decided to install this hoist system for our iKamper, which is the brand of our rooftop tent. According to iKamper, the maximum speed for this tent is 70 miles an hour. When we were going to Las Vegas last year, we found speeds of 80 miles an hour, and in Colorado, we can find speeds of 70 and 75 miles an hour. Number 2, we also have this roof box that during the wintertime, we take with us snowboarding, and during the summertime, we take on road trips. And the third reason is we only go camping a couple of times a year, and having that extra 125 pounds sitting on a roof is just a little unnecessary. We decided to go with the 200-pound hoist so we can store all of our sleeping gear inside of the tent and have plenty of capacity to raise and lower the tent. We left the links below for the 145-pound hoist and the 200-pound hoist. Before we get started, just want to let you know this video has not been sponsored by anyone. With that out of the way, according to the manual, the 200-pound hoist that we have requires a minimum of 3 rafters. Rafters are the structural beams that support the roof, where joists are the horizontal pieces that support the ceiling and the floor of our second floor. We're gonna be mounting our hoist to the joists. In our garage, we have access to 4 joists, and our joists run right to left. But the manual has steps if your joists run front to back. I'm gonna go ahead and measure the ceiling to see how much wood we need at the hardware store. There are 3 things that we need to pick up. First is some wood. This is the wood we'll be using to attach to the rafters. The manual says 2x6s. The next item we need are lag bolts. These are heavy duty screws that we'll be using to attach the wood to the ceiling. We need 8 of them for the mounting boards, and we need another 2 for the riser boards. We'll talk more about what the riser board is later in this video. And the last item is some washers for those lag bolts. Now we need to figure out where to position the hoist in relation to the car. To do that, I'm gonna be using something called a plumb line, which is nothing more than just a string with a weight attached to the end of it. I can then hang our plumb line from the ceiling to figure out where do I need to position the mounting boards. I'm thinking right about there is good. I then used a laser distance measure to measure the rest of the joists. But you could also use a tape measure. Now, it's time to make some holes in our ceiling. But first though, I need to use our stud finder to figure out where is the center of each of these joists. We'll be using a 7/32 drill bit to make holes for our lag bolts. There are 2 tricks I want to show you for mounting these boards to the ceiling. I'm going to take a piece of painter's tape that's the same length as one of the boards. I'll then put that piece of tape on the ceiling, covering the holes we just made. I'll then use a marker to fill in all 4 holes. For trick number 2, the manual says we should be using a 5/16 drill bit. I'm gonna go 1 size smaller to drill out the holes in this mounting board. That'll partially allow me to screw in these lag bolts, which will make it easier when I try to mount to the ceiling. Because I don't have to worry about holding the wood while I'm trying to install the lag bolts and screw them in at the exact same time. Included with our kit are 4 of these pigtail lag bolts. We'll be attaching these to our mounting boards. And this is what our pulleys will be hanging from with our ropes. We'll be using our plumb line again to figure out where to position the pigtail lag bolts in relation to the car. We'll then be drilling the holes with a 7/32 drill bit. When you can no longer screw this pigtail in by hand, you can use something like a screwdriver to put it in the middle here, give that extra power to turn it. One thing to note is you do not want to go past the top thread of the lag bolt. If you do, that'll reduce the overall strength of it. The next thing we'll be installing is the rope organizer. This brings all the rope from our pulleys and brings it to one centralized location. We can either mount it towards the front of the garage, or you can install it to the side of the garage. I'm gonna go ahead and partially install our rope organizer into this riser board, and then I'll go ahead and show you. Because we have a drop ceiling at the front of our garage, we have no choice but to put the rope organizer to the side of the garage. If we look in the manual, it lets us know the distances between the rope organizer and the wall to let us know how far the hoist will be lowered. In our case, we need to lower it about 6 feet, which means we have no choice but to go to the far wall. Unfortunately, the head of this lag bolt is preventing me from mounting this riser board nice and flush. So what I'm gonna do is take a 1/2 inch drill bit, which is the same size as the lag bolt head, to drill out a little hole for it. The purpose of the riser board is to ensure the rope comes nice and even out of our pulleys into the rope organizer. We'll then be sending it to the wall. I'm gonna drill a couple holes in our riser board, and then using our lag bolts, I'm gonna mount it to the riser board. I'll then finish tightening the rope organizer. It's important to make sure we don't over tighten our rope organizer, because then it'll prevent the pulleys from spinning. The last thing we need to install is our welded screw eye and our block and tackle system. Where the studs meet the rafters, there's a piece of wood called the top plate that runs the entire length of the wall. That's where we'll be installing our welded screw eye, and install our screw using the same trick from earlier. We just want to make sure we don't go past the top thread, like with our pigtail lag bolts. This is the shackle included with the kit. We'll start off by taking the pin out, and this will allow us to attach it to the welded screw eye. With the pin out, we can then attach it to our block and tackle, reinsert the pin along with the key ring to make sure it's securely fastened. Now we can take the black rope and run it into our rope organizer. Just note that there are 2 different lengths of rope. The short side will go over here, and the long side will go over there. At the bottom of the rope, we'll be tying a double figure-8 knot. This allows us to attach the strap so we can lift our rooftop tent. I did add a safety knot at the top, which is not included in the manual. So to tie our double figure-8 knot, we'll need about 24 inches worth of rope. And then add the safety knot, we'll need about 30 inches worth of rope. On this side of the rope, we have the tail. This is what's hanging from our ceiling. And on this side, this is what goes towards the hoist. So I'm gonna take our tail of our rope, and I'm going to cross it underneath the part of the rope that goes towards the ceiling to form this loop. I'll then take the tail of our rope and cross it over top. And now it looks like we have the number 8. I'll then take the tail of our rope, pick up one edge of the loop we created earlier, and run it underneath. And then I'm gonna start cinching this down or pulling it down just a little bit, but not too tight. And now we've got a little bit of an 8 shape. I'm gonna take one of the side of our strap. I'll run the tail of the rope through that strap. There we go. And now I'm gonna start tracing the shape we made earlier. So I'm gonna take it through here, following this rope around. There we go. I'm gonna follow around. Just keep following it around till we get towards the end here. And then now I can start working this. And ultimately, we want to try to get this knot as close as possible to the end of our strap. That way we ensure as we start pulling our item up, we can go all the way to the highest part without worrying about the knot hitting the pulley. So we've got our tail here, cross it over, come back around, cross it over, come back around. And then now I'm gonna put the tail of our rope through those 2 loops. There we go. And now we have our strap attached to a double knot with our safety knots. I can then adjust our pulleys. So instead of our pulley being pulled towards the side, towards our rope organizer, I can give this just a little bit of a turn to ensure our rope goes to the pulley a little bit better. Again, we want to make sure that it doesn't exceed the top thread of our pigtail lag screw. The 200-pound hoist system uses an 8-to-1 block and tackle, which means it should be a whole lot lighter than trying to lift 125 pounds by itself. Then to lock it, we just bring the rope straight down and that'll re-engage the cleat. A couple comments about this kit. My first comment is I'm not a big fan of that red and black rope For whatever reason, it gets tangled and twisted on everything. So I think what I'm gonna do is get some kind of like boat cleat to go ahead and anchor that to the wall. Which brings us up to the second comment. The block and tackle system uses a single threaded screw eye detached to the wall, and that makes me a little bit nervous. So what I think I'm gonna do is build some kind of safety catch system just in case there is some kind of issue with that welded screw eye. Which brings me up to the final and third comment, which is when you're starting to lower the hoist down, once it makes contact with the car, unfortunately, you cannot lower it down anymore. So you have to kind of lift the iKamper to unclip the belt. I wish there was some kind of screw type mechanism to lower it versus some kind of hand mechanism to lower it itself. Overall, we are so happy that Harken has a solution for us that it can raise and lower our rooftop tent when we need it. If you enjoyed this video, please, please, please hit the subscribe button because we would love to take you on our adventures. So for example, we stayed at a fire lookout tower, we stayed at a vintage Airstream, and of course we camped here. Until our next adventure, we'll see you later. Bye.